Now, when completed, the Narrowwater Bridge spanning Carlingford Lough will link two counties, Down and Louth, the Mournes and the Cooley Peninsula, creating, it's hoped, a new tourism destination. It's long been talked about and campaigned for, but today, finally, it was the project's official launch, and our South East reporter, Cormac Campbell, was at it. Cormac.
Well, Catherine, from up here on Flagstaff, you have an aerial view of just where the Narrowwater Bridge will be. You've also a view of the wider region which it seeks to unlock. Now, this has been a tourism project decades in the making, but in February, the Irish government announced that it would fund the project in its entirety through its shared island unit. And a level of preparatory work has been ongoing since then. But today marked the official beginning of building work with the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach and Stormont's Minister for Infrastructure all visiting the site. The group then travelled to Omeath village where Taoiseach Micheál Martin outlined the rationale for the project.
Today is the realisation of a vision long shared across this stretch of water, delivering on the desire of both communities to reach out, to connect and to grow together.
Well, that's the Irish government's view, but I've also been speaking to local communities on both sides of the lough to hear what they hope the bridge can do for them.
The build on the border has begun. In 3 years, the Narrowwater Bridge will open, connecting the Mourne, Gullion and Cooley Mountains. Before that, communities on both sides of Carlingford Lough have a tourism product to develop. And in Omeath and Warrenpoint, that work is already underway.
They're doing the greenway and they're doing all the rejuvenation of the roads. A lot of exposed concrete going down, which is what I do. It's going to make a world of difference.
It'll certainly get busier, you know, and you'll probably end up with more rubbish on the road to be picked up. But other than that, it definitely it will be good for the business community.
I think Warrenpoint will go back to what I remember it, you know, as a child, in terms of even Sundays we would have came for a drive to Warrenpoint, we would have went to the park, we would have got ice cream, you would have maybe had dinner somewhere, and that was very much a part of my childhood, and there's a lot of sort of nostalgia to that, and I do think it would be lovely to see Warrenpoint coming back to that. You know, there used to be so many festivals and things like that, the whole atmosphere of Warrenpoint, and obviously if you get the good weather, there's nowhere else you'd want to be.
We set ourselves the objectives of, first of all, quite obviously uniting communities around the lough, bringing together communities that have been separated by partition down the years, etc. And the bridge will obviously achieve that. The second one basically is to counteract what's in this, what can only be described in this area as dereliction. You know, over here we have the swimming pool, which in 100 years ago was the pride of Edwardian Ireland. You know, it's now the greatest eyesore in the area. The bridge, when it arrives, that will end that.
It's what Warrenpoint needs. It desperately needs the baths to be regenerated, and the current plan the council has in place for it is an excellent plan. We just need to get the funding into the baths to make that happen, and we're hopeful that will happen.
I'm only 40 minutes down the road, it's straight up the motorway. I never really would have thought of coming to Warrenpoint. I suppose it would always be, oh, let's go to Carlingford or let's go up as far as Blackrock or somewhere like that, but for the sake of the extra 10 minutes, just from the small amount of the village or the town that we're after seeing, there's so many restaurants, there's so many pubs, different places, there's obviously the whole pier walk, there's just so much to do that I just was never even aware of as someone who's only a stone throw away.
This isn't a low-cost project. To be successful, the private sector must respond with investment. If it does, it's hoped the bridge can prove transformative for this stunning region.